Hello and welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollock. Our first weekend of high school championships with girls swimming and diving and wrestling. A busy weekend and some records broken, some feel-good stories, some interesting stories that took place over the weekend. And here to tell us all about it is Jason West, the communications director from MSHSAA. And Jason, we'll start with swimming and diving. We don't give it as much press as we should, but it's a sport that is beginning to grow here in the state of Missouri. And so I want to start with it first and give that the attention that it certainly deserves, because the girls put on quite a performance this weekend in St. Peter's.
That is very true. And not only did we have a record number of schools that had a qualifier for the swimming and diving championships this year, we also set 4 records individually, with one of those being a relay. So it was just a great weekend, kind of a longer weekend with the number of competitors, but you know, those are good problems to have.
Yeah, you were talking when we were talking last week. You were saying that swimming and diving is starting to catch on. So 82 schools competed this year. That's the most you've ever had.
That's the most that we've ever had. And then of those 82, there were 48 schools that at least registered 1 point or more in the team standing race. So it's not just that we have 82 schools. It's the parity is also spreading out a little bit more.
Yeah, so this is no longer Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, not so much the bigger cities. I mean, obviously they're involved, the bigger cities, but now it's starting to expand into the rural areas too, which is great to see.
Oh, yeah, even schools as small as Lamar were scoring points at this year's meet. So that's really good news for growing the sport and getting those into the outstate areas as well as the metropolitan areas.
Absolutely. And then you said diving had a record number of competitors?
We started out on Monday with 60 divers, which is the most ever, and had to actually rearrange the schedule on Saturday to be able to accommodate all of those divers and the different rounds that they go through on Saturday morning. So there ended up being 56 actually compete on Saturday, but even 56 is still a very high number, and I believe that is the most we've ever had.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, that's great. Good news for swimming and diving. Talk about the 4 records then that were broken this weekend.
Sure. In the 500 freestyle, Brittany Wynn of Hickman rewrote that record with a time of 4 minutes and 54 seconds, 0.90. In the 100 butterfly, Gabriella Vieira of Parkway West set a new record in that event with a 53.73 mark. And then Tori Beeler from Park Hill South also set an individual mark in the 200 individual medley with a time of 2 minutes, 0.24 seconds. So some really good times in those events. And then also in the 400 free relay, the team from Lafayette Wildwood set a new record with 3 minutes, 28 seconds, 0.66. So had some really fast times all over the weekend, and these 4 events were for record holders.
Yeah, and congratulations, Lafayette Wildwood. They took 2nd place overall. Rockbridge Columbia wins the title, 2nd year in a row, back-to-back championships for them, and their 3rd since 2012. So they've got a bit of a dynasty going on there in Columbia.
Starting to roll. I know Columbia has always had a good club program, and a lot of those swimmers are now representing their high schools on a high school team as well, and has really bumped up the Columbia schools, both Hickman, Rockbridge, and even Battle now.
Good stuff. Hey, we're talking with Jason West from MSHSAA. It's brought to you by Missouri NEA. If there was a teacher that had a positive influence on your life, it's a chance for you to win $500 by telling us their story. And you can do that at teacherwordsmatter.org. Again, a chance for you to win and honor that certain someone in high school or a teacher, faculty member that meant something to you. All right, let's go on to wrestling. Going into the weekend, there were 21 undefeated wrestlers, and there were a couple of them that were going to go head-to-head, so we knew that there couldn't be that many. But yeah. I think if I look at all of the results, I think we had 13 undefeated national champions.
Well, state champions.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but that's what I say. National.
Yeah. we're, we're not quite to that level.
No, we're not at that level yet.
Be
No.
at some point, but no, we did. It was a great weekend of wrestling. There were some just some fantastic matches, a lot of exciting finishes, and as you said, we did have one final in Class 3 that pitted two of those undefeated wrestlers together, and that was a fun match. Kyler Ray from Neosho defeated Hunter Shelton at the 152 weight class, and Kyler finished as 56-0, was a senior, and had I believe his final record was over 200 wins for a career. So that was a great way for him to finish his high school wrestling career, at least.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Now, I'm assuming that these two from Class 4, 120 and 126, I imagine that they have to be brothers, Cameron and Colin Valdiviezo, both from Rockhurst.
Yes.
And it looks they both finished the season undefeated. Cameron 49-0 at 120, and then Colin 52-0 at 126. Now, are they twins? Is one just bigger than the other? Or
Actually, I don't believe they are twins. I think one is older than the other one.
Yeah, boy,
if they were twins, one would still be older than the other. But I believe they're in different years in school. But yes, they had quite a run through the tournament, both winning pretty easily, I believe, for the entire weekend, and were able to represent Rockhurst on the medal stand.
Well, there were a couple of interesting things that happened on Friday, and I guess we should run through them. There was a disqualification. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, and then I'll ask you some of the rules or what happens moving forward. But maybe you can explain a little bit what happened.
We did have a wrestler that had a flagrant misconduct on the mat during his bout. Unfortunate thing, he was actually winning the bout at the time it happened. And in that case, in that scenario, the wrestlers that have that are immediately disqualified from the tournament. And when that happens, the team then is also loses team points for the flagrant misconduct penalty. And then when they have a wrestler that is disqualified from the tournament, they also lose the team points that wrestler had accumulated up until that point. So, just like in a dual bout, teams are awarded so many points for a fall, so many points for a major decision, so many points for a decision, and so forth. So, depending on how that wrestler had won his matches up until that point, the team lost those team points as well.
What happens then moving forward with that wrestler? Is there suspensions? Is that something that's handled by the school, or is this just it's the penalty for this tournament and then that's it, and then you move on from that and learn?
Really, it's just more of the teachable moment. The school can also place any other sanctions on the young man or on the wrestler that it feels it needs to do, but from this standpoint, it would be the teachable moment is what the punishment is.
Okay, and so while that was going on, this was kind of a three-headed monster that you guys you're all dealing with there at the same time. Then there was an injury, and just talk about, because I want you to maybe focus a little bit on the sportsmanship, but then also the first aid and the people that came and kind of helped this kid out too, because it's an interesting story.
Yes, well, while that was going on one mat, on another mat, we had an injury that at first thought it might be a head or neck injury, and so the training staff had some great trainers there provided by the Missouri Association of Athletic Trainers. Moada right on top of it, and were able to stabilize the young man, and we had EMS there as well with an ambulance just outside. So it was determined that probably for precautionary reasons need to take him out and put him on the stretcher and take him to the hospital as soon as we could. Everything has since come back believe the young man is doing very well. There were no serious injuries, but just precautionary things. But while he was down on the mat, we've talked before about the knowledge base of wrestling fans and how passionate they are about the sport. But they can also recognize when something is wrong or when something great is about to happen and can anticipate that. And as the young man was being carted off, he was giving the thumbs up sign to let everybody in the crowd know that he was okay and was going to be okay. But wrestling basically stopped at that moment, and everyone that was in attendance was on their feet cheering and giving the young man a standing ovation. And it was just a really good moment to recognize people that have no idea where this young man is from, but they can appreciate the effort that he gave to get to where he was and wanted to acknowledge that fact. And it was a very, very touching moment as he was being carted off. That's
outstanding. While you're dealing with all of that, there's a third thing that takes place, and basically a fire breaks out. Explain what happened.
There was a dumpster fire in the background. Of course, there was no truth to the rumor that Frank Hayes started the fire, as was put out on Twitter. But there was a dumpster fire in the back of the building that, fortunately enough, it was a mechanical issue with one of the dumpsters in the back, and it was caught early enough that we did not have to evacuate the building, but we were pretty close because it happened to be a dumpster that was right below the air flow from the outside, so smoke was really close to getting into the building, but we did have a smoky smell for a little bit there, but the fire department was right on top of it. The Mizzou people were right on top of it and got everything extinguished and put out, and we were good to go. But yeah, we had a three-headed monster there for a few minutes, dealing with the different things that can happen at a wrestling tournament. And, I used to say, well, everything's going great. We've never had a fire, but we can't say that now.
Check that one off the list. Well, and credit too to first responders and the emergency personnel helping out with the injuries, helping out with the fire that's taking place, and nothing really misses a beat. And now one of the great heartfelt stories of the whole championship Saturday night in Class 3 145, and maybe you can wrap up our hangout today with this story.
Yeah, we had some great stories on the weekend. Some with kind of jumping ahead at 195 in Class 3. Jared Rennick from Washington became the first state champion for their school, and was very overcome with emotion. It was great to see him accepting his medal. He actually, when he won and the referee raised his hand, he ran over, got his cell phone from the coaches, and was able to take a selfie on the mat with the referee real quick. But so that was just one of the great stories. But probably one of the one that hit home the most for everyone was Ethan Karsten from Platte County. He had lost his older brother earlier in the week on Sunday. His older brother had a heart attack and passed away. And so it had been a very emotional week for Ethan preparing for this championship. But he overcame everything and was able to battle through all of the things that were going through his head and won the championship in Class 3, actually pinned his opponent in the championship round, and pointed up to the sky and acknowledged his brother there. And as he got his medal, not only were the Platte County people on their feet for him, but also the fans from Kearney and the fans from around that area that knew the story coming in. I had not known the story until afterward, but there were, because of how close the wrestling community is, there were a number of people in the stands that knew what this young man was going through this week, and they were able to show their appreciation too, giving him a standing ovation as he accepted his medal Saturday night too.
And it's story, we've talked about this before, but it just talks about the sportsmanship and the character of athletes here in this state, and it says a lot about them. And putting priorities and just, you look at what this kid had to struggle with personally, and it's just great to see from a statewide level the sportsmanship, not just from the athletes, but then also the parents too, because sometimes we do get wrapped up in the wins and the losses. And so when you hear a story like this, your heart certainly goes out to that young man and his family. But then you think about from a statewide, a sportsmanship level, and there's certainly a level of pride there too.
Yeah, and like I said, that was just great to see. Once we knew what was going on, that the appreciation level that everyone had for what he was going through really came through, and is great for those communities.
Well, an eventful weekend, swimming and diving, 4 records broken. An eventful weekend with the dumpster fire at the wrestling championships. Yep. So you got through it all. Congratulations. And now we're jumping right into basketball.
Yep. District play started for classes 1, 2, and 3 on Saturday, and they've already had some opening round matchups, and there's more semifinal action tonight and tomorrow night, and we'll get the steamball rolling.
Man, never slows down. Busy time of year. Jason West from MSHSAA, thanks for joining us on a busy day following a crazy weekend, and very busy for you guys. So I appreciate your time.
Not a problem. And for basketball, we'll make sure that I've got your picture there at the media will call. So in case you forget your ID again.
Yeah. So here's the story. I'll explain it to everybody. I left my wallet in the car, and I had the little letter that you guys send when you fill out and says, present this and use this as your parking pass to get in the first time. And so I go up there and I forget about my wallet, and they said, well, do you have a picture ID? Which I should know, because anytime you go to pick up a credential, you should have it. And it's like, it's all the way in the back lot. And like, well, do you have anything else? So, well, I can show you emails. And I was trying to find like a Google Hangout and they're like, well, we'll call Jason. I said, well, Jason will help me. And then I'm thinking to myself, I hope Jason doesn't screw around and say, I don't know who you're talking about. I was really waiting for the girl to come off the phone and says, he doesn't know who you are.
Bill who?
That's what I was waiting for. Yeah, because I said, no, I said, we talk all the time. Yeah, there won't be a problem. And I thought, I could just see Jason doing this to me, making me walk back out to get my license. So
we'll have the full security detail and pat down ready for basketball. So.
Well, you know what, and you know what, they did their job though. They did what they were supposed to do, and there was no talking around them, showing emails, nothing. You have to have your ID, so you should commend those people who helped out.
We will certainly do that.
Yep. So I will make sure I bring my wallet for basketball championships. All right. Thanks for watching us. All of the results for swimming and diving, for the wrestling, you can find all of that at MissouriNet.com and, of course, at MSHSAA.org. So, Jason, thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week.
No problem. Thanks, Bill.
Yep. And thanks for watching us here at MissouriNet.com.